Well, hello there. How are you doing today? Today, I figured I'd share with you some of my family favorites for Thanksgiving dinner. So come on in. Let's get started. What do I have going on for you for today? Well, Thanksgiving, it's only 2 days away. And so some of us might be in the grind of making some last minute trips to the grocery store, getting together those side dishes and meals that we're gonna be preparing for Thursday's Thanksgiving dinner. Today, I thought I'd share with you my family favorites. These are easy recipes that have an amazing outcome that anybody is gonna love. So I'm gonna quit my gabbing, let's jump into it, and let me share with you my family favorites.
Today, for our gravy, I went to the store and got a package of gizzards and hearts to help enrich the broth for our gravy. We need about 2 large carrots, peeled, chopped. These are just baby carrots that I had, and that's why we're using them. 1/4 of an onion, up to a full onion, depending on how much gravy you're going to be making. Celery, we've got about 2 stalks of celery that I rough chopped. We're going to add our garlic. I've got 2 heads because we're a garlic family. At the end, we're going to make a roux. We have 4 tablespoons of butter, 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and of course, you can't do anything without your salt, pepper, and a little paprika. We are going to be using chicken broth. You can use low sodium chicken broth. If you'd rather, you could use a vegetable broth. You could use a turkey broth. The only thing I wouldn't use for our Thanksgiving meal would be beef broth. I'm going to take our gizzards and hearts. I have a pan here over medium heat with a little olive oil in there, and we're going to brown these guys up. We're browning the hearts and gizzards, and we're put them in the pan and let them sit for a little bit. Don't start turning them over. We want it to get that really nice, rich brown color, so we get little burnt bits on the bottom of the pan. We're going to let these go for a little bit, and I'll peek and I'll see how the browning's going. I'll flip it, and then that's when we'll add our vegetables. Our gizzards and hearts are ready to be turned. Oh, nice. And can you see that nice brown color? That's what we need. That's what we want. To this, we're going to add our celery, our onion, and our carrots. At this point, I'm going to add a little pepper. Next comes the salt, and you can be pretty liberal. I'm probably going to do a good 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons. And last but not least, a little paprika. That'll help enrich the flavor and kind of brown everybody up. It always adds good color. And that was probably a good teaspoon. Now that we have everybody in the pot, we're just going to give it a nice stir. And we're going to let everybody brown up. At this point, you could add fresh thyme, fresh rosemary, a couple sage leaves. You could even add a bay leaf. It's nice. It enriches the flavor. We're now going to add a whole head of garlic. I showed you 2, but we're only going to use 1. And I just peeled it, and we're just going to toss it in and stir it a little bit. Now with the garlic, you only have to let that go a couple minutes because you don't want it, it can get a little brown, but you don't want it to get burned because garlic tastes really bitter when you burn it. And so you just always want to add the garlic last to the pot. But you can see how everything is getting a nice rich color to it. And that's going to go great. Now you can see everything has a nice brown glow to it. And we've got nice little brown bits on the bottom of the pan. And this is when we're going to add our chicken broth. Not quite the whole box, but that's okay. And we're gonna let this go and just simmer. Oh, could be anywhere from a half hour to an hour to 2 hours. The longer you let it simmer, the deeper the flavor, the better the gravy. You can already see that just by adding the chicken stock, we've already got a deep colored broth going on with our vegetables and our gizzards and our heart. This has been going now for, oh, I would say a good 2 hours. Yeah?
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah, and look at that color. My goodness. Now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna remove all the flavor enhancers, the gizzard, heart, carrots, onion, and celery. Now, some people like to shred the gizzards and heart, maybe even some neck meat. They like to shred it and put it back into the gravy. That's fine if you want to do that. I was never a big fan of that. My mom used to do it, and it was just something I've chosen kind of to leave by the wayside. That's kind of old school. I mean, you can just see the flavor.
And we are left with that amazing looking broth right there.
Now we're going to thicken our gravy, and we're going to do that with the 4 tablespoons of butter. And I'm taking the 4 tablespoons of our flour, and I'm going to mix them together a little bit at a time. You don't want to add too much flour all at once. And we're going to just kind of make a flour and butter paste. And you want to get it nice and smooth. You don't want to have a lot of lumps. You want to break that flour up so it's nice and smooth. Now, you're not going to know the final thickness of the gravy until it comes back to a simmer. That's why you're just going to keep stirring and it'll come on back to a simmer, and then we're going to know exactly how thick our gravy is going to be. And do we need to thicken it more, or do we need to thin it out with a little chicken broth? And then we'll also taste for saltiness and to see about the pepper.
That looks amazing.
It's coming back up. Come on. Don't be bashful. Come on. We're going to let it come back up to a simmer and then assess it. We're not running the risk of any lumps any longer because we don't see them. So you don't have to continuously whisk right now. Our gravy has finished. It came up to a nice simmer. I like the consistency of it. See? It's thick enough, it coats a spoon, and let's give it a taste. It's hot. Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It's just Thanksgiving.
Yes, that is, the flavors of Thanksgiving are wrapped up in that right there, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To me, the flavoring is spot on. No more salt, no more pepper. I like the thickness. It's very silky with the added butter at the end. Now, if you find that this is too thick, do this. If you're making mashed potatoes, save a little of your potato water and thin your gravy out with that. You have the starch from the potato, which is a natural thickening. You don't need to add any more fat, and the potato water has flavor. So little bit at a time if you want to thin your gravy out and you're making mashed potatoes.
For the dressing, we're gonna need 2 sticks of butter, a cup of diced celery, a cup of diced onion, 3 eggs, a 16-ounce package of breakfast sausage, flavor of your choice. You can use sage sausage, spicy sausage, or like we're using today, just regular sausage, and some chicken broth, and 1 box of Mrs. Cubison's cornbread stuffing. Again, stuffing can be the flavor of your choice.
I'm going to add just a splash of olive oil to the pan to get things started for the sausage. And then I'm going to add the package of sausage. We want to brown it up and break it up. And then we're just going to break it up, help it brown. And you want 1 package of sausage per box of dressing. Now that our sausage is brown, we're going to add our other ingredients. Now, you can go ahead and drain the sausage, but there's really not that much fat. And we're going to be adding butter. So we kind of know that this isn't a low-calorie treat. So I leave the little bit of grease in there just to add to the flavor. So we're going to add our cup of diced celery. We're going to add our cup of diced onion. We're going to give it a stir. And we just want that to soften a little bit. Now I'm going to add butter. That's 1 stick. And we're going to add the other stick. We'll bring this back up to temperature because it cooled down with the addition of the butter. Now we're going to add our chicken broth. We need 1 3/4 cups. Now we're going to add our stuffing mix or our dressing mix. You add the whole box. Now I turned the fire off and we're just going to lightly toss this. You don't want to mix it too heavily because you don't want it to get packed. Now we're going to take our dressing and we're going to put it in our dish that we're going to bake it in for just a little bit, just to kind of brown things up and get it tasty. And you can see how light it is and that it's not mushy and it's not like packed down. You don't want that. It gets too dense that way. Kind of want it like airy and light and just full of flavor, not, you know, nothing that's gonna like sit in your stomach like a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that, and then we have 1 more step. Now we're gonna take our 3 eggs and we've just lightly beaten them. And we're gonna mix this in to our dressing just to kind of make it light and fluffy. I let the dressing set and cool off for usually about, anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour. You don't want to put it in when the dressing's too warm because you don't want your eggs to scramble. To finish up our dressing, we're going to take some gravy and just drizzle it over the top. You don't need to mix it in because it'll soak in. You just want to add that flavor.
And if you haven't seen her recipe on how she makes this homemade gravy, we'll leave the link to that in the description box below. It is an easy yet so tasteful gravy.
It's done on our dressing, and we're just gonna pop it in a you can either go 350, 375. It's already cooked. So you're just gonna warm it up, and it's gonna probably take, well, maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes. You'll pull it out, you'll have little crunchy bits on top. Oh, those are to die for. Those are the things that we fight over, the little crunchy bits on top.
And there you have it. Kathleen's Thanksgiving stuffing. One of our family favorites. Doesn't that look stinkin' delicious?
For our mashed potatoes, we are gonna have 5 pounds potatoes. I like russet. It's a little starchier, makes a nice mashed potato. Peel them, quarter them. If you want to peel and quarter them ahead of time, that's fine.
Here's a fun fact.
Here, just make sure you cover them with water and pack them with ice, and the potatoes won't turn color. We're going to have 2 sticks of butter for our potatoes, package of cream cheese, anywhere from a cup to 2 cups of sour cream. Of course, we need salt and pepper for our potatoes, and garlic. We're going to use, for 5 pounds of potatoes, we're going to use about 8 heads of garlic. Not the individual cloves, but 8 whole heads. Now we're going to get our garlic ready to be roasted. Once again, real easy. So we're just going to take the top off. Now we're going to take our garlic and we're just going to put it on foil. And I like to double the foil. It just kind of gives it a little more secure nest. And we're going to take our olive oil and you're just going to drizzle it. I can't say a quarter cup, or you
right.
just make sure each one gets a little love on top of it. Then we've got our salt, and we're just gonna sprinkle just a little bit.
And that, folks, is called goodness.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If you like pepper, you want a little pepper, doesn't hurt. You don't need a lot. And then we're gonna just take it, and we're just gonna make a little bundle. And you want to make sure you get it all closed up, and that helps to steam it and then roast it. And there we go. And I put it on a sheet pan, and we're going to pop it into a 375-degree oven, probably for about half hour to 45 minutes. Check on it in about a half hour. Put our pot on for the potatoes. You always want to start the potatoes in cold water and let them come up to temperature. You never want to put a potato into boiling water because it won't cook evenly. We're going to add our salt to the water. I add a good amount. I add at least, I would say, 2 teaspoons. Because if you don't salt your water, your potatoes are not going to taste good. They need that salt while they're cooking. Here we go, potatoes in the bath. And we'll get a top on the pot. I always keep the lid a little cocked to one side. If you put it on flat, you're gonna have a boil over. But if you let it have just a little breathing room, then you won't have a boil over. For this amount of potatoes, I would say we're gonna come back in 10 minutes and check them. And we might need another 3 to 5 minutes after that. Okay. Now we're gonna check on our potatoes. They've been on at a boil for about 15 minutes. And we're just gonna pop a couple out and let's take a look. Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
You don't want them too done because they'll get mushy. And I like to turn it back on low for just a minute.
To burn off the excess water.
Correct.
I knew that.
See, you are learning. You are paying attention.
Yes.
That's awesome. We're gonna check and see how the garlic's doing. Ooh, we've got roasted garlic.
That looks amazing.
Woohoo! Okay, we've roasted our garlic and it's cooled off. And now all you need to do is just squeeze it out. And it comes out like butter. Once we take the garlic out of the roasted heads, I just take a fork and just lightly give them a little mash, give them a little head start on diving into the mashed potatoes. Finish our mashed potatoes, we're going to add 1 stick of butter, and it's room temperature. That's just to start with, just so we can see what the consistency is going to be like. You don't want to add too many things. You can always add more, but you can't take away. We're going to add half of our cream cheese. And I'm going to mash these two into the potatoes to see how things are going to look and what needs to be added to get the right consistency. I don't like potatoes that people take an electric mixer and whip them.
Yeah, no.
No,
Nope.
that doesn't do it for me. Okay, we're going to add some of our sour cream. And that's about, to start, about half a cup. Now I use the sour cream in place of milk. To me, it's a dairy product. Once it hits the hot potatoes, it liquefies. Milk just doesn't do it for me. Milk is just kind of runny and makes
Like
it watery.
water.
Exactly. Add a little bit of sour cream. And I'm going to add a little bit more of our cream cheese. And let's see where that leaves us. Now, Kel, how does that look to you?
It already looks amazing. It just needs some garlic.
Here we go. That's our last one. This is the 8 cloves of garlic that we roasted.
All that goodness in there.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna wait, I'm digging in.
Go.
It actually already tastes almost perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Taste it. It's pretty, like, right on.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I would say some pepper, and that's probably it.
Mm-hmm. The great topping for this would be our homemade gravy. And you can get that in the link that Kelly's gonna list below this. And it'll show you how to make a super easy, super tasty gravy for anything. For your mashed potatoes, for your dressing, for your turkey. We're using a package of frozen corn, 2 cans of cream corn, about half a stick of butter, 5 eggs, salt, pepper, and a little sugar, and 1 cup of milk. Whole milk is my preference. If you want to use 2%, that'd be fine too. And Kellogg's cornflake crumbs. Now, if you don't happen to have this, but you have panko breadcrumbs, you can use that. That's fine. This is just what I've always used. We have our 2 cans of cream corn. We have our 12-ounce package of frozen corn. Now we'll take our cup of milk and our 5 eggs, and we're just going to lightly whisk. Next, we're going to add our salt and pepper, and that really is to taste. And sugar, we're going to use probably a good tablespoon. And that just gives us a little sweetness. Now we're going to take our egg mixture and incorporate it into our corn. We're going to give the pan a quick spray. Now I'm going to pour it into the pan, and then I'll finish it off with the Kellogg's cornflake crumbs and a little butter and a little sprinkle of paprika for a little color. A little tip for the cornflake crumbs: if you're not going to use them a lot, and here you buy a whole box, what you can do is put them in a Ziploc bag, get all the air out of it, and you can store it in your freezer. And that way they won't go stale, and you can use them for the next year. Now I'm going to slice some butter and lay it on top of the casserole. And now I'm just going to take some paprika and sprinkle a little bit over the top just to add for some color. Time to pop it in the oven. We're going to put it in at 375, probably for about 45 minutes. I don't cover it with foil unless I find that it's browning too quickly, and then I might put a piece of foil over it to stop the browning while the corn sets up. But you don't need to cover it right away. We'll check back in 45 minutes, and we'll check it by taking a knife and inserting it. And if it comes out clean, we know we're good to go. Time to check our souffle, our corn souffle, and I'm sure it's going to be perfect. And it is. The knife comes out clean.
I say if you are up for trying a new recipe this Thanksgiving for either gravy, stuffing, mashed potatoes, or corn souffle, you should most definitely try these because I guarantee they won't disappoint. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, but most of all, you know what I'm gonna say. We gotta stay positive. Can you do that for me? Bye for now, everybody.